Hey, so you're blind or visually impaired. Of the 4 remaining senses that you have, which is your favorite? Let's go talk about it. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you again. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing of the 4 remaining senses that you have, assuming you are blind or visually impaired, which of those 4 senses is your favorite? So I'm here joined with...
Corey. Hi, guys.
She likes doing that, so I always let her do that.
I don't think we like...
I always get in trouble when I introduce her. So.
No, he never is.
No, I get in trouble. Ever. Trust me.
Matt never gets in trouble.
Anyway,
except right now.
Yeah, on camera. So anyway, of the 4 senses that you have, I actually had someone ask this maybe a couple weeks ago, and I thought, this would be a really interesting video topic. So we thought, let's create a video about this.
Kind of fun and lighthearted.
Yeah, exactly. So, as all of us who are blind or visually impaired, we depend on our remaining senses to give us an idea of our surroundings and kind of what we're working with when we touch something, smell something, taste something, or hear something, right?
Yeah.
So, if you have encountered this, when you meet sighted people, one of the first things that they say is, "Oh, God, I bet you can hear really well."
Or, "Oh, I bet your husband's developed really good other senses. They all have good other senses."
Right. And I usually just think, well, no, like I think my hearing is just as good as everybody else or the same, not necessarily better, but like I've said in so many other videos, we're just more in tune with our surroundings. So it seems like we have better hearing, but really I don't think we do. We're just more in tune with what is going on around us.
Well, and in a way, if you take away one sense,
Yep.
you're just more like, you have less to focus on in terms of like, you don't have visual stimuli, so like auditory stimuli is where you're getting all of your data.
Yeah, exactly. So I think all of us can probably agree that our hearing is very important because it tells us what is going on around us. It pretty much dictates our surroundings. So I would say for me, one of the senses that I depend on the most is definitely my hearing. But at the same time, I would say equally as important is my sense of touch. So obviously I can't really see a whole lot. Well, the little bit of vision that I have doesn't help me at all identify anything as far as visually. But when I touch something, I can identify something relatively quickly just by how it feels, depending on if I've felt that item before. What's actually a really interesting test of doing this is opening Christmas gifts, because it's always like a test of, well, what is it? Typically I don't shake the gift, but it's kind of funny because you open it up and right away you can determine like, okay, is it plastic? Is it metal? Is it cloth? And then from there you can kind of deduct like, okay, it's cloth, it must be a shirt. And then you can, come to a conclusion fairly quickly. So I think that's one interesting way of using the sense of touch to identify something when you are maybe like unexpecting it, or you have no idea what it could be. Or if somebody hands you something, you have no idea what it could be. They just say, here, hold out your hand. And you hold your hand out and they hand you something. It's like, well, what is it? It may take a second to kind of identify what that item is.
I kind of feel like my family's notorious for doing this to Matt. Hey, Matt, I'm going to put something in your hand and you have to guess what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well,
it could be literally anything except
it's actually usually
always,
pretty cool though.
Yeah.
It's usually Corey's
like,
brother.
It's always
and
like a gold
we're
coin.
really similar people. We're really similar. So usually when he says, hey, Matt, hold your hand out, it's usually like a chunk of silver or like a diamond or something. It's like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah, and my dad will do the same thing. He's always like, oh, Matt's gonna love this. And it's always like a silver, I mean, we don't have a silver bars.
No,
like, but or something of metal.
Like a little stack of magnets. He'll be like, oh, I found these for you.
Yeah.
It's really
always
cool.
Find stuff for us.
Here, Matt, I found you something.
Yeah.
I like the treasures he finds me.
It's really fun. He always finds stuff.
So yeah, sense of touch. Anyway, I would say that is almost equally as important as hearing. The only difference with sense of touch is obviously we need to be within reach of whatever it is we're trying to identify or whatever we're doing. Whereas our sense of hearing allows us to identify our surroundings, from afar. So we could be standing, let's just say outside, and we could hear sounds from, 100 yards, 100 meters, half mile away, depending on what the sound is.
Or like what's in between us and the sound. Like if we were in a lake, that there's nothing else, between the two noises, I feel like you can hear well.
And what's really interesting too is I actually had this in a video, I don't know, a few videos ago, but like the sound deflection off of items. For example, like I made a shoveling video of shoveling snow, and we were talking about the Great Wall of Stephen. But anyway, in that video, there was obviously a car parked in the neighbor's driveway that I didn't see it, but I got near it and I could hear it. And it wasn't necessarily that I could hear the car, actually like sounds coming from the car, but it was more like a lack of sound is what allowed me to hear the car. And that probably makes no sense to Corey because she hasn't experienced it.
I have.
Oh, maybe she has. But I'm sure all of you have
People who are
experienced
sighted
this.
can experience it too.
Okay. Well, maybe she has superpowers like us then too. I guess she
I've
does.
developed them through osmosis from being with Matt.
Apparently. Also, sense of smell. So, sense of smell, I depend on that a lot too. I typically use my sense of smell when I am in the kitchen, and I typically pull something out of the fridge, and it happens to be a container, maybe like leftovers, or a container like a bottle of sauce of some kind, like salad dressing or something. There's no real good way to identify these products unless we use an app like Seeing AI and we scan the barcode.
But that wouldn't help if it was leftovers.
That wouldn't help if it was leftovers.
Then you've got your container and there's no words on that.
Right. That's very true. So what I typically do is I pull a container out of the fridge, I crack it open, and I smell it. And I think, oh, that's leftovers from last night.
I don't think
What?
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, leftovers don't smell very good. But at least I can identify what they are.
Something we try and do to be like a little bit more nice is when I put leftovers away in the fridge,
Yep.
I try and tell Matt like where the stuff is in the fridge, but I know sometimes it still doesn't help, and like sometimes we accidentally get our sauce bottles, like Thousand Island dressing or whatever, mixed up with other stuff. Again,
another reason why it is so important to put things back exactly where they were found for someone who's blind or visually impaired. I don't know if anybody else agrees with this, but I want things put back exactly where they were because that's where I know where to find it. So if the Thousand Island dressing is always on the right, that's where I'm going to reach. And if it happens to be ranch, well, I'm not going to be very happy because I don't like ranch. So
we should make a video just of Matt following me around all day.
Right.
With me putting things away.
You'd see a very frustrated Matt in all the video.
Matt, the frustrated cat.
Yeah.
And Corey, the sad cat.
And no one would be able to see the video, and they'd be like, oh, wait, he must have had a child, and he's following the child around, cleaning up after it all day. And they'd be like, oh, wait, it's actually just Corey.
Yeah. Good thing all my other qualities make up for my super laziness and messiness, right?
Yeah. So then...
Can I say one more thing about touch?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I wanted to jump in with this because I think it's sort of interesting. Is when Matt and I first got married, he did our laundry, and he still does. But when he first started doing our laundry and he would go to fold stuff, like he didn't know what any of my clothing items were. If they were shirts, if they were like underclothes, if they were like, I mean, he could tell the difference between shirt and pants. But now, sometimes, because like I have tank tops and like girl clothes are kind of made weird compared to like t-shirts and like pants. And so he really, really had a hard time identifying like literally any of my clothes. And don't you feel like that's improved because your sense of touch with the familiar items has, you're familiar now?
I would say it's definitely improved. Prior to doing laundry for Corey, I can't say that I've touched a whole lot of girl clothes to like figure out what they feel like, as far as like how they're made as far as, but most of the time I'd take clothes out of the dryer and go to fold it, and I'd be like, I have no clue what this thing is. Like, I don't know where to fold it. I don't even know where you put this on your body. Like, even a few days ago, I was folding some laundry, and I came downstairs with this thing, and I was like, hey, I think your shirt's ruined. It's all ripped up. And she's like, no, it's fine. It's a tank top. And I was like, where? Where do you put this on your body? There's just like strings and all kinds of stuff everywhere. And I was like, I think it's ruined.
And like, I don't dress in what he's describing.
No, it's all stringy. Trust me.
No. I wear like long sleeve t-shirts.
Right. But anyway, there were like, it was just a mess.
It's true. Everything's all messy. But my point is with the sense of touch that I think is worth saying is that it is really valuable to you and you improve with time. That's true. Very true.
So lastly, of the senses, anyway, sense of smell. Oh, one other point.
Smell.
Yep. Taste. But anyway, one more point on smell. I use it sometimes in the kitchen when I'm trying to find a certain spice. It's not really my preferred method of identifying something because I'm cracking open all these little canisters and smelling them. And it's not a very good way to identify like onion powder and garlic powder and cumin and what's that other one we like? Oh, curry. Curry, yeah.
I like curry.
Curry's really good actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, I use it for those reasons. But yeah, sense of smell actually is very helpful for me. So lastly, we'll talk about sense of taste.
I think something interesting to bring up with taste
Yep.
is that Matt, and I'm curious what you guys, how you feel, but Matt has a really hard time identifying flavors in a quick manner. Because, like, I know when I get food near my mouth, I'm like, this is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt has to eat like 4 bites in order to determine it. So I don't know if it's because he can't see food, if he doesn't have like that visual feasting or whatever they call it.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'd actually be really interested to hear from you if you're blind or visually impaired. You know, throw a comment down below. I'd be really interested to hear, like, do you resonate with that? Do you understand like what we're talking about? I'm sure you understand, but I mean, is that true for you too? Like Corey was saying, typically when we eat something, not all the time, but sometimes if it's a new recipe or a new dish or something, I would take a bite or two and it's like, maybe after the second bite, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I can taste it now.
And
it's weird.
It is weird. But like the other thing is like, let's say we're eating a popsicle and I hand Matt a popsicle and I don't tell him what flavor it is. It'd be really hard to know what the heck you're tasting. Because I always know like, oh, it's a grape popsicle or it's a lime popsicle.
Mm-hmm.
So then I know to expect, you know, a certain flavor profile.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what to expect, I mean, obviously I tell him what flavor popsicle I'm handing him, but I feel like that would be, your body is like a lot more work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. So as far as the sense of taste, I would say I don't really use this one a whole lot, like I do with feeling or sense of touch and sense of hearing, because I'm not just walking around like tasting everything, you know, licking stuff and like chewing on it just to get an idea of what it is. So I typically don't do that. On occasion, maybe.
Well, unless if you're like walking along a railing and then you just like feel it with your tongue along the way. His niece did that one time in Disney World.
Funny story, yeah.
It was the grossest thing I've seen in my life.
The youngest niece, she was walking. We were really quick. We were going. I think it was like on a Small World. It's a Small World, and you know how you're like waiting in line, and she's standing there licking the handrail,
like along the handrail. It's like literally the filthiest thing you could touch.
Yeah, she's a funny kid. So anyway, just to put those in order that I would say that I would call from important, most important to least important, probably hearing, or sense of hearing, sense of touch, sense of smell, and lastly, sense of taste.
Do you have a favorite?
No.
Really?
No. I would say I don't really have a favorite. I depend on the first 3, well, the first 2, hearing and touch equally. And then the other 2 are just kind of, they're there. I don't use them all that often, but you know, it's nice to have on occasion, like trying to identify a container of food in the fridge. It's like, what is this?
Actually, I have another thing to bring up about smell. The sense of smell is actually, it is more important to you than you think. Because like if Matt and his mom and I will both like the same perfume. And so if Matt's mom has a certain perfume and then that's the same scent that we've both liked, and then I wear it, he's
it is
like,
off limits.
Heck no.
Off limits.
Because he's so used to, like, he uses scent to identify people. And so, obviously, you know, it might be a bigger deal than, like, a sighted person. You know, if some random person wears, I guess if your mom wears a perfume, you probably don't want your wife to smell like that.
Yeah, no.
I guess.
I mean, I like my mom,
like that.
but I definitely don't want Corey smelling like my mom. It's weird.
It is.
Super weird.
But, like, if Matt smelled like...
Your dad? Come on, Corey.
My dad smells good.
Your dad does smell good.
My dad smells
All right,
really
anyway, we're going to wrap this up. So anyway, that is our video talking about the senses and possibly my favorites in the order that I gave. So anyway, I would be really interested to hear your order of senses. Which do you depend on the most and which do you depend on not so much? So leave a comment down below. I'd really enjoy hearing from you. And if you have any comments or questions regarding this video, Again, stick those down below. Any last thoughts, Corey?
Or tell us your favorite scent.
Sense or scent? Sense?
Either, I guess. Sense, I meant.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for watching this. We'll see you again soon. Hey, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We appreciate it, and we always really enjoy connecting with all of you through the comments, and it's just been really fun. So thanks again for watching
this. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. We don't post that much on Facebook and Instagram, but you can if you want.
Yeah, we don't do much on there. But anyway, thanks again for watching. We'll see you on Friday.
Bye.
Bye now. Okay, it never works.